And welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streamed on expertcresecrets.com, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to eliminate the need for the 1031 exchange, defer capital gains tax, and the sale of cryptocurrency, primary residences, businesses, real estate, you name it. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swarts. In each episode, I am joined by some of the best real estate, financial wealth, and leadership minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest. His team is located in Austin, Texas. He's out of the great state of Florida, and he's here to talk about how to build a multi-million-dollar real estate business. And we're going to talk about buying deals, selling deals, and coaching people along the way to do the same. This gentleman as well has done fix and flips and wholesales, and so much more. Please welcome to the show with me, Nick Pear. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Dude, honored and excited to be on here. Can't wait to connect with you and just be able to be a servant and give as much value as I can on the show.
Beautiful. Love it. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Yeah, so, I started humble beginnings, grew up in Northern Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C., lower middle class family, didn't have a lot growing up. I started working at an early age because, my dad, who I lived with during my adolescence, he was, paycheck to paycheck. There was a lot of times when we couldn't afford groceries. And so I realized at an early age, I had to take personal accountability for my own success. And, I got a job right when I was 14, and I've been working ever since. My, first career after high school, after doing retail jobs and what you do in high school, I was a personal trainer. So, trained a lot of wealthy individuals, and through training a lot of wealthy individuals, I wanted to figure out what were these people doing that I wasn't, because I was working my butt off, only making 60 grand a year, and they're, taking these luxury vacations and, have this dream life. So what I noticed was the majority of them either owned businesses, or they were in some sort of tech, or they were in, high ticket sales of some sort. So I said, well, I'm not really a techie, and, I am good at sales, but what can I do to provide the most value and be my own boss? And that's when I came across real estate in 2014. So from Northern Virginia, I moved down to Austin, Texas. I was kind of at a period in my life, and I wanted to become my own business owner. I didn't have a job lined up down there. I had no connections. I think I had like $5 grand to my name, and I found real estate wholesaling through YouTube. And I started listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, and just took massive action. And here we are, 2021. I've done well over 1,500 wholesale deals. I've owned 165 units, mobile home parks. I own oil and gas, a bunch of other stuff in e-commerce. I'm in cryptocurrency as well. So it's been a tremendous vehicle for me to get to where I'm trying to go. I'm 32 right now. I'm on track to retire by 35. So looking forward to my first retirement.
I love it, Nick. Amazing. What a cool story. And we're going to be diving into how you've built that multi-million-dollar real estate business here in a minute. And I do want to take one other step back, though. I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life, and some people call them superpowers, some people call them strengths. But I want you to go back to your high school days or your college days or earlier, and I want you to think about maybe one of those one or two gifts that you believe you were given, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Yeah, I would say the one single biggest gift that I've been given is just tenacity and grit. So some people may call it stubbornness. Maybe that's my biggest blessing, my biggest curse. But I'm there when I put my mind to something. It doesn't matter, how many obstacles come in my way. I'll, figure out a way to learn from the failure, get back up over and over again. And I'm just, bullheaded that I will not give up, hell or high water. And that's been really my biggest strength, because, I didn't make it through high school, 10th grade education, never was super book smart, but I can tell you, I know how to, fall down and get back up again over and over again until I get it right. So that's definitely number one. And then just being resourceful. as an entrepreneur, you got to be resourceful. So that would be number two is I'll find a person, place, or thing to help me achieve my goal.
Excellent. Yeah. Tenacity and grit, stubbornness. I have some of those traits as well. Learn from failure and improve, constantly improve, get back up, keep going, and then being resourceful. Is that a fair summary?
You got it. That sums me up in terms of my strengths right there.
Cool, Nick. Appreciate it, man. So now let's dive right into the number one secret to building a multi-million-dollar real estate business. So Nick, if someone's coming to you, they ask you the question, "Hey, what's the one secret?" Maybe the gift that you just talked about, but you could say that. And what's step number one to getting this real estate business going?
Yeah, step number one is getting your first deal. So in terms of getting your first deal, my recommendation is, nothing happens until the phone rings, right? So don't sit there and get paralysis analysis and get stuck in watching, video after video, podcast after podcast. Do what you need to do in terms of marketing to get the phone ringing with motivated sellers so you can start having conversations. That's literally what starts the snowball down the hill, is getting the phone to ring with leads is step number one. Don't worry about all the other things, out the gate. If you're just getting started, just focus on that one thing, getting the phone to ring and having quality conversations with other human beings. That's really it. I think a lot of people overcomplicate it and want to get their LLC and their business card and do all these other things, but just literally get the phone ringing and you'll start to get momentum.
Excellent. So getting leads, getting the phone ringing, nothing happens until the phone rings, until you're having quality conversations. Okay. So I guess what's been the best secret to getting these leads coming in or uncovering these deals or getting motivated sellers to call you when it comes to wholesale or brokering deals or finding deals?
Yeah. So I do all digital marketing. I don't do any telecommunications, and telecommunications is cold calling, ringless voicemail, texting, things like that. That's pretty typical in the industry that I'm in, real estate, wholesaling and fix and flipping. But everything that I do is actually inbound. So I advertise on Google and Bing and a bunch of other search engines for motivated sellers to reach out to me, which completely changes the dynamic of the conversation and leads to a much higher conversion rate. So, my team converts 1 out of every 14 seller leads that we get in the door, which is a huge leverage factor, because if you look at telecommunications, it might take you 40 or 60 leads to get a contract, as opposed to it takes me 14. So, not only am I spending less time and energy, but I'm also spending less money as well to get these contracts.
Awesome. That sounds sick. So it's inbound, all digital. It's not outbound, cold calling, and then you're advertising on Google and Bing to get these coming in, and then your team takes in, qualifies, has the quality conversation, builds the rapport, finds out the needs, right? Find out if there's a way to make it a win-win. I'm assuming we can get to that here in a minute. But I'm curious, are you also YouTube advertising versus Google versus Bing? Why one versus the other? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we do a ton on YouTube as well. YouTube is actually owned by Google. So within your Google Ads platform, you can create YouTube campaigns, and those have been phenomenal. And it's kind of an untapped blue ocean right now. So we get a great cost per lead on YouTube. The only thing that I don't do in digital is I don't do any social media like Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, just because the intent of those people that are scrolling on Facebook and clicking to go to your website isn't as strong as somebody that types into Google how to sell my house fast and then goes to your website. So the quality of search engine traffic is higher than social media traffic, and the hundreds of thousands of dollars I spent on Facebook and social media, it can't come close to a search engine.
Okay, that's really interesting. I think that makes a whole lot of sense, right? So you're focusing on what works, and maybe you've tried the other ones in the past, right? But you're like, you know what? I want someone who's very specific, who knows what they're looking for. Let's advertise to those folks, and let's have them inbound call us. Is that a fair summary so far?
100%. Here's the thing: if you want, I'll just give you the $1 million, blueprint right now. You have high quality leads and an amazing high quality team. You're going to be a millionaire, right? If you can drive high quality leads to high quality people on your team, everything else will work itself out.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So let's talk about building that high quality team, right? Because that might be an art and a science in itself. So talk to us about your team. How did you train and build them so that, because I imagine at a certain point you're getting so many calls and you're on meetings all the time. You had to delegate, right? And you had to train. So walk us through how you did that.
Yeah, so I actually worked at Indeed.com. I was an inside sales rep there when I first came down to Austin. I was getting my real estate business going. So through working at Indeed, I was able to, get to know the inner workings of how to drive candidate flow and, how to properly funnel people in a, hiring funnel to get the top quality people to rise to the top. And so that's actually one thing we go in depth on in the mentorship program I have is, how to basically hire rock stars on autopilot. Because hiring, I don't care what business you're in, you need to get good at it because you're not going to scale to $1 billion, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar business by yourself. Nor do most people want to. Most people get into entrepreneurhood to have freedom. So when it comes to hiring, we utilize Indeed to drive tons and tons of candidate flow. And we have somebody actually going through all those resumes and getting these people to rise to the top. So they'll find the people that their resumes fit the criteria, do a phone screen with them. And then if they pass through our executive assistant's phone screen, they'll get put on a calendar invite for a quick Zoom call with our COO. And then our COO will go through, vet that candidate even further. And if they like them, then we'll bring them in for an actual in-person interview in our office in Austin, where we kind of take it from there. So the biggest thing is, just like I told you just a minute ago, it's all about getting leads. Will you treat the candidates that you have coming in just like leads? Because one high quality acquisition manager in our business is worth $1 million to my company. Our top acquisitions last year drove $1.2 million in assignment fees. So when you're looking at candidates, just keep that in the back of your mind. This person who just put in their resume could be worth, 7+ figures, to you and your family and your business.
Yeah, excellent. Amazing. I love that. So hire rock stars and on autopilot, figuring out a hiring funnel, filling a system and a process for that, doing screening, multiple screenings, and then bringing them in to person to find out if it's going to be a good fit. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah. We take them through we'd actually put them on practical calls where they have to call motivated sellers and, because everybody can interview well, right? When you sit down and interview, everybody's going to tell you what you want to hear. So make sure if you're actually hiring salespeople to do mock phone screens and make them do practical assessments. It's very important when you're hiring salespeople.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then another quick tip is bring people outside of the office as well. Doing the sit down across each other from the office on Zoom is important, but our final round interview always consists of either a coffee, a lunch, a happy hour, because you're going to get that candidate outside of the office where they're going to be able to relax a little bit more. You get to have more of a normal conversation than if they're sitting there across from you in your office.
Makes perfect sense. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so we've established that we want to get your first deal done, right? You want nothing happens till the phone rings. You want to do some advertising to get inbound coming in as quickly as you can. And then you want to sort through high quality leads. And then you want to make sure you're hiring rock stars so that you can convert these leads and move deals forward. Is there a third step?
Yeah, third step is you got to actually be able to make the cash register ring and get these deals sold. So you're going to need to make sure that you have not only high quality people negotiating with homeowners and getting the properties under contract at a deep discount, but you also have to have another department called dispositions. And these folks are, speaking with investors, realtors, buyers to actually sell the deals at a higher price, or they're doing property management, or project management if you're fixing and flipping the property or holding it as a rental internally. If not, you're going to be stuck doing that. And that's a tough place to be full time.
Got it. And are you brokering deals too? Or are you guys mostly just wholesaling, finding a buyer and assigning the contract?
Yeah, we do a ton of assignments, but we also fix and flip property all over the United States. So, we have projects going on literally, all over from coast to coast, where we'll have, my team will work with local realtors and contractors there in the area and oversee that entire process. And then we hold rentals internally. We have a pretty decent rental portfolio that we built over the years. We're taking nice properties in appreciating markets that are in good school districts, things like that.
Excellent. Really cool. I think we covered a lot there. You did great. It was a rapid fire there. We're going to shift a little bit to capital gains tax deferral, right? Part of the goal of the podcast is to give people freedom from feeling trapped by capital gains tax on the sale of crypto, real estate, 1031 exchanges, not using a 1031, right? So I'm just curious, what's been your biggest frustration when it comes to capital gains tax deferral and the 1031 exchange? And it could pertain to your fix and flip short-term rentals. It could pertain to, the 45-day. It could pertain to not being able to sell your crypto at a higher price and defer the tax. But what would you say your frustration is?
Yeah, my frustration is just, for me, I've always, even with, we make millions and millions of dollars a year, and I'm continually having to put that money into somewhere that I can't touch it. So I never touch the money when it comes to taxes, right? So if I've got money left there at the end of the year, it's going into a mobile home park, or it's going into, some sort of real estate where I'm never stuck with a lump sum at the end of the year, which is good. But then when it comes to, bankability and things like that, you're walking a fine line. So I like to be able to continue to put my money into, appreciating assets. And then, with the 1031, I haven't had a big problem with 1031. I've been taking a lot of my single family properties and 1031ing them into mobile home parks. So.
Perfect. All right. Excellent. So right now you're pulling all your money and you're buying. Of course, you're getting the depreciation, maybe do some cost seg if you can, right, to offset some gains or some income. But there's part of you that would like maybe more liquidity so you can have some more bankability. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, absolutely. But how much you want to give up in capital gains is the real question. So
yeah. So there is a way that we can help, right? And so for listeners who are listening about that, it's a thing called a deferred sales trust. What's cool is you can sell high, defer the tax, and put it into liquid investments. So stocks, bonds, mutual funds. It doesn't have to be like kind, doesn't have to be equal or greater value, no time constraint. And that amount can show the bank that you have some more liquidity, right? It is at the trust level. So you got to work with a certain bank who understands this, but it's a promissory note that's owed to you the money back versus putting into an illiquid asset, right? That has to be typically equal or greater value. And there's even more debt depending on the deal. So by the way, you can learn more about that at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com, guys. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. And that's called a deferred sales trust. So that being said, we're running out of time. You ready for the lightning round?
Let's go.
All right. Knowing what you know now, Nick, if you go back to your 20 or 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you can make sure to tell yourself to do?
Man, I would have just hired somebody that was way further along than I was, and just paid them as a mentor to get me to where I am now, because I spent a lot of years just trying to figure everything out on my own, put myself through YouTube University, screwing the business up over and over again. And if I would have just went back and, hired, somebody that was already where I'm at, I would have got to where I am way faster. So that's the reason, I created like my coaching group, is because I went and, did everything the hard way. And now I'm able to, offer, help to other people that are, getting started in the business.
Which, by the way, you can learn more about Nick Perry at sevenfigurecartel.com. That's sevenfigurecartel.com. And no, folks, he's not selling anything illegal. He's just going to help you create and preserve more wealth with real estate and building a multi-million-dollar real estate business. He's 32 and he's doing all of this, and it's pretty incredible. And he's also really smart because he moved to Florida to establish residency to get some better tax stuff. So we absolutely just love that, Nick. So can you tell us about your move to Florida and how that's working out?
Yeah, it's been incredible. So, I got my business to the point that, I hired the rock stars. I did everything we just talked about, in the prior 30 minutes. And what that left me was an incredible sense of freedom, that I didn't have to be there working 40 hours a week in my business, babysitting. I have a phenomenal team that I was able to relocate, myself to Miami Beach, Florida. And now I have the freedom and flexibility to go where I want, do what I want, whenever I want. And I still go back to my office in Austin once a month, but that's by choice. They really don't even need me there, but I just enjoy being with my team. So I still get back there often. So my move to, Miami Beach was just, I came to, I got to a point where I was getting complacent, and anytime I move to a new city, it always helps me grow personally and professionally. And so I wanted to challenge myself, feel like a small fish in a big pond. And, for real estate in Miami, it's as good as it gets. You got some of the top commercial investors here, and I wanted to come out here and network, and it's been phenomenal.
That's fantastic. I've been to Miami one time. It was about 2 years ago during that big football game, the Super Bowl there. The Niners got lost in the fourth quarter, so I'm still hurting about that because I'm a Niner fan. But what an amazing city. Like, what a cool place, man. I'd love my time down there. Next question. What's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Yeah, the biggest one that I've gifted in the past year that I would recommend you guys go and download right now on Audible is The Third Door by Alex Benayan. And this is great for all the listeners out there that are getting their business started, because what they do in that book is they interview all these top entrepreneurs, actors, athletes. So from the Warren Buffetts to the Maya Angelos to the Snoop Dogg's to literally everybody, and they single in on what was the key pivotal thing that got them started in the very beginning. So they don't go through like an autobiography on each of these people. They focus in on what was the pivotal thing in the beginning that helped them get their foot in the door and get their career launched. And so that really opened my eyes. It's a great listen on Audible. It's one of those ones you listen to on the plane. You're going to listen to it as you're walking through the terminal too. So
you want to be delayed here a little bit? Connection. Nick, are you back?
I'm back.
Okay, something happened there, but yeah, I think we had a little commercial break there for a second. So the one pivotal break or key thing that changed and got them going, is that what the third door is all about?
Yeah, and it's there's a lot of common denominators for all these people that they interview in the book, and so success leaves clues. So I like to study other successful people, and if you're just getting your business going. Or even if you have a successful business, go download The Third Door by Alex Benayan. Great listen on Audible. It's my favorite one. I've listened to it in a long time.
Amazing. Next question. What are you most curious about right now?
Most curious about right now? I mean, cryptocurrency is something that is a passion. I try not to mess with it during working hours, but I always love. Right now I'm into crypto staking. I have miners. I've got a pretty decent crypto portfolio. So that's been like a hobby of mine, outside of real estate.
Nice. I'm getting my first rig. I'm teaching my kids how to mine for Ethereum. My wife's like, "What are you buying?" I'm like, "Babe," we just did a $5 million cryptocurrency deal for an Ethereum seller. He bought 100,000, it's worth 13 million, and we just deferred all the tax. And he's going to buy real estate, get cash flow, do a bunch of stuff, all tax deferred. And I'm like, "Babe, if we can teach the 5 kids how to do this, like, we might as well introduce it now, get them going. It's like a family hobby project." She's like, "Okay," but no, it's becoming I'd say it's still a hobby, right? But more and more of a passion as we help people defer tax on cryptocurrency sales. Next question. What's the biggest challenge facing real estate investors right now?
The biggest challenge facing, I would say, if I had to speak for the industry right now, is inventory. Right, the market's as hot as it's ever been, and since probably 2006, and there's a record low inventory. So finding deals is becoming harder and harder. It's more competitive every single day with new investors coming in the market. So you have to be extremely good at lead generation and extremely good at sales and solving problems. So
what's the one question to find out if someone's real? Like, I mean, you get a lot of leads coming in, right? But I mean by real, I mean qualified or serious or motivated, however you want to put it. When I say real, like what's the one key question that you have your team focus in on to figure that out? Or maybe it's 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah, no, I mean, we always ask, hey, if we were able to come to an agreement on price, would we be able to move forward today? Right? If you can come to an agreement on price and they're willing to move forward today, now you got somebody that's serious and ready to do business right now. But you get a lot of people that are shopping or just real high up in that funnel. We don't want to deal with those people.
Right. Yeah, it's called the conditional close, right? So if we can agree on price and terms, assuming we can agree on price on terms, and maybe there's one or two things that maybe are still held up, are you willing to do a deal today? Is that a fair summary?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Like that. And are you asking that midway through the call, beginning of the call,
Very
end of the
early,
call?
right in the beginning, before you
Right at the
start
beginning.
digging into, their property condition and, all the other factors that go into underwriting the deal. You want to
Right.
get that question out of the way first, and then
Exactly.
also identify any decision makers, early on as well.
Perfect. So it's like you're starting out. Hey, my name's Nick Perry. We do wholesaling. We want to see if we can make a deal. We're going to talk here in a minute, but if we can agree on price and terms, are you willing to sell the deal today?
Exactly. Yep. And then we follow up. Hey, is there anybody else? I don't want to step on anybody's toes. Is there anybody else that might need to be involved in the conversation that would need to sign off on this for you? And then you don't get blindsided at the end.
Got it. And then if they say yes, there is my spouse, then are you saying, hey, come on in to the call? Can we bring him on the call right now, or do you want to schedule another time, or do you continue to have that rest of that conversation until the next one?
No, you always want to make sure all decision makers are on the call. If not, they're going to have to be on the same page anyway. So what tends to happen though is if a husband or wife or somebody's not on the call, they're always going to brush you off. Well, let me check with my wife. Let me check with the tooth fairy, whoever. They want to check with somebody. So you want to make sure that the decision makers are all on the call together, so you can handle any objections and get the contract.
Perfect. That's great. That's good wisdom. I'm glad we dug into that a little bit more. Last question, Nick. After all your success building a multi-million-dollar real estate business, helping countless students and team members build wealth in real estate, what's the one thing that helps you stay centered in your values and encouraged to charge forward to reach new heights?
Yeah, just my relationship with God. I'm always continuing to get closer with Him every day. So whether that's through gratitude, giving back, prayer, I keep that first. I keep God right at the top of the priority list. Anytime I get my priority, I start putting other things before God, whether it's money or things. My life always gets out of whack, and I don't feel centered. So just keeping faith and fitness first, because if you don't have health, you don't have anything. So putting God and health before everything has made sure that my business and everything else prospers.
Amazing. Hey, Nick Perry, it's been more than a pleasure having you on the show. I want to encourage you to keep using your gifts of tenacity, of grit, of being a bit stubborn, to help people learn from their mistakes, for you to continue to learn from your mistakes, and to help people grow and be resourceful, to create and preserve more wealth through real estate and build multi-million-dollar businesses. Hey, you've dropped a ton of wisdom and a ton of knowledge and encouragement for me today, and I'm sure our listeners. And for those who want to get in touch with you, can you remind them one last time what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, what a great show, man. Thank you so much for having me on. But if you want to connect with me, Instagram's a great place. I usually get back pretty quickly, and on my DMs there, it's just Nick Perry, REI. You can follow me on Instagram, or go check out the sevenfigurecartel.com. Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick, for being on the show. And also want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streaming on CREsecrets.com. We like to bring on experts that can fit on both shows. And so hopefully you found value on one or the other show today. Wherever you may be listening, hey, if we can help you defer capital gains taxes, we believe that the Deferred Sales Trust is an amazing option for you. We want to give you that opportunity, again, to go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about that and really have an exit plan, and also perhaps hire a coach to help you build leads, to help source leads, to help close more deals, build systems and processes from someone like Nick Perry. I know I'm better for hearing what he's and I've been in the business a long time, and I'm hearing a lot of really neat stuff there. So check out Nick Perry again, and thanks so much for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. We so appreciate everyone out there. And